There will always be moments in life when people test you, when their actions or their words attempt to pull you into chaos. Someone insults you, betrays your trust, or tries to humiliate you in front of others. Your natural impulse is to react, to defend yourself, to show anger or fight back. But true strength is not found in the loudness of your response. It is found in your ability to remain still when everything around you is pushing you to explode. Self-control is not weakness, it is the ultimate proof of mastery. It is the quiet victory that speaks louder than any shout, because when you refuse to let others dictate your behavior, you show that their actions have no power over you. That is the highest form of revenge, living in such a way that no one can control your inner state. Think about what happens when you lose control. In that moment, you hand over your power. You allow the person or the situation to become the driver of your emotions. Your anger becomes their satisfaction. Your reaction becomes their success. But when you stay calm, when you choose silence over chaos, when you decide to respond instead of react, you take all that power back. You send a message without saying a word. Nothing you do can move me. This is not about pretending that you are not hurt. It is about understanding that your energy is too valuable to waste on proving yourself to someone who thrives on conflict. Every second you hold your peace, you are building an inner fortress that no insult can break. Self-control is not suppression. Suppression is pushing your emotions down and pretending they do not exist. Self-control is awareness. It is the ability to feel everything fully, the anger, the sadness, the disappointment, and still decide how to carry yourself. It is choosing not to let those emotions dictate your next move. This is a skill that requires practice. It is like training a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Every time you resist the urge to lash out, every time you pause before responding, you strengthen the part of you that cannot be manipulated. The more you develop this strength, the less you depend on the behavior of others for your own peace. Revenge is often misunderstood. Many people believe it means causing harm to those who hurt you, but harming others only keeps you tied to them. It keeps the pain alive. The greatest revenge is freedom. It is walking away without carrying their poison in your heart. It is showing through your actions that you have elevated beyond their level. You cannot stop people from being cruel or unjust, but you can refuse to let their cruelty define you. When you master self-control, you rise above the need to even the score. Your life becomes the proof of your victory. Your calm becomes the lesson they never expected to receive. Think of the most powerful leaders and teachers throughout history. Their greatness was not built on how loudly they could argue. It was built on their ability to remain steady while others lost themselves. Their power came from their discipline. They understood that the mind is like a wild horse. If you do not hold the reins, it will run wherever it wants. But when you hold those reins firmly, you can guide it with precision. Your thoughts become clear, your decisions become sharp, and your presence becomes unshakable. This is what makes self-control the ultimate revenge. It turns you into someone who cannot be broken, someone who cannot be manipulated, someone who walks through storms with quiet confidence. When you practice self-control, you also protect your future. Every reaction has a cost. Harsh words spoken in anger cannot be taken back. Reckless actions can leave scars that last for years. By pausing, by breathing, by choosing a thoughtful response, you save yourself from regrets that might haunt you later. You protect your relationships, your opportunities, and your peace of mind. You give yourself space to see the bigger picture, to recognize that most conflicts are temporary and that your long-term growth is worth far more than a short-term outburst. The one who controls themselves controls their destiny. But self-control does not mean you tolerate abuse or stay silent when action is needed. It means you act with clarity, not impulse. It means you choose your battles wisely. It means you walk away when walking away is the stronger choice, and you speak up when speaking up will create real change. You are not denying your emotions. You are mastering them. You are choosing to act from strength instead of weakness. You are proving that your inner world is not a playground for anyone else to disturb. It is easy to confuse control with coldness, but self-control is an act of love. It is love for yourself, because you are protecting your mind and your heart. It is love for your future, because you are building a life that is not ruled by anger or fear. It is love for the people who matter, because you are not letting temporary conflicts damage permanent bonds. The quiet person in the room is not always the one who has nothing to say. Often, they are the one who has already won the battle within themselves. There will be times when people misunderstand your calm. They might think you are weak because you do not react. Let them think what they want. Their opinion is not your concern. Your peace is not a performance for anyone to judge. Strength does not need validation. The tree that stands still in a storm is not weak. It is deeply rooted. The mountain that does not move when the wind howls is not powerless. It is immovable. In the same way, your calm is not emptiness. It is depth. It is power that does not need to shout. Every day offers you opportunities to practice this art. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Someone gossips about you. Someone tries to provoke you with a careless remark. Each of these moments is a test. You can choose to react, to feed the fire, to let them control your emotions. Or you can choose to breathe, to pause, to stay centered. Each time you choose control, you strengthen the force within you. You build a life where peace is not a fragile state, but a permanent foundation. The path to self-control begins with awareness. Notice when you are triggered. Notice the physical sensations, the quickened heartbeat, the tightened chest, the rush of heat. These are signals, not commands. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of them. The moment you realize this, you create space between feeling and action. In that space lies your freedom. In that space, you choose how to respond. That choice is where your power lies. That choice is what separates you from those who are still slaves to their impulses. In the end, self-control is not just about dealing with others. It is about mastering yourself. The real battle is always within. When you can face your own anger, fear, and pain without letting them rule you, you have already won. The world outside can be chaotic, but if your inner world is steady, nothing can truly harm you. This is why self-control is the ultimate revenge. It is not about hurting others. It is about proving to yourself that no one and nothing can take away your peace unless you hand it over. Let your calm be your answer. Let your discipline be your victory. Let your unshakable presence be the reminder that true power does not scream, it does not fight, it does not break. True power simply stands, and in that standing, it wins every battle without ever needing to strike. The strongest reply to an insult is the silence that proves it never reached your core. When someone throws words at you, hoping to wound you, they are really searching for a reaction. They are testing to see if they can disturb your peace, if they can plant their chaos inside you. Most people respond automatically because their pride is touched, because their ego feels threatened, because they believe that staying silent is the same as being weak. But silence, when chosen from strength, is not weakness. It is a shield that cannot be pierced. It shows that you are so deeply grounded in who you are that no sound from the outside can shake the foundation you stand on. To reach this place of silence is not easy, because it requires you to train your mind to separate noise from truth. It demands that you learn to feel the sting of words without letting them become your reality. It asks you to see insults for what they really are, projections of someone else's pain, frustration, or insecurity. Every insult is a reflection, not a revelation. It tells you more about the person speaking than it does about you. When you understand this, their words lose their power. You begin to see that a person who tries to hurt others with language is already fighting a battle inside themselves. They speak to wound because they cannot soothe their own suffering. If you reply with anger, you join their fight. You let their darkness pull you in. But if you remain silent, if you simply watch without reacting, you rise above the game. Your silence becomes a mirror in which they are forced to face themselves. It denies them the energy they are searching for and protects the peace you have worked to build. Silence does not mean you suppress your feelings. It means you choose a higher response. You can feel the hurt, the irritation, the disappointment, and still decide that your dignity is worth more than a reaction. This is not easy. It is a practice, a daily discipline. It begins with awareness. You notice the tightening in your chest when someone insults you. You feel the quickened heartbeat, the flood of heat in your face. But instead of letting these sensations control you, you breathe. You create a space between their action and your response. In that space, you remember that you are not defined by what anyone says. In that space, you find freedom. The longer you practice, the stronger this space becomes, until one day their words land but never penetrate. They touch the surface and fall away like rain on stone. Choosing silence also teaches you about the value of your energy. Every time you argue with someone who only wants to provoke you, you spend emotional currency that could be used to build your life, your dreams, your growth. When you answer every insult, you give away pieces of yourself to people who have done nothing to earn them. Silence is a way of saying, my energy is too valuable to waste on proving myself to you. My time is too precious to spend on a conversation that leads nowhere. It is a declaration that you are focused on a higher purpose, one that cannot be interrupted by meaningless noise. There is also a quiet power in silence that many people underestimate. Words can escalate a conflict, but silence often dissolves it. A person who insults you expects resistance. They expect to feed on your anger. When you give them nothing, you disarm them. They are left facing their own emptiness, their own need for attention. Silence creates a kind of discomfort that forces reflection. It is not about punishing them, it is about refusing to participate in a game you never agreed to play. Over time, people learn that you cannot be baited, that your peace is untouchable. This reputation protects you more than any argument ever could. Yet silence is not always the absence of sound. It can also be expressed through deliberate action. Walking away is silence. Smiling without answering is silence. Continuing to live well despite someone's attempt to hurt you is silence. These are all ways of speaking without words. They communicate strength more clearly than any comeback. They tell the world that you do not need to shout to be heard, that your confidence is rooted so deeply it does not depend on the approval or understanding of others. The path to mastering this kind of silence begins inside. You cannot remain calm on the outside if you are filled with turmoil on the inside. This is why inner work, whether through reflection, meditation, or mindful breathing, is essential. You must know yourself so well that no insult can convince you of something you know is false. You must build a relationship with your own worth so strong that outside opinions become background noise. This is the true meaning of the silence that proves an insult never reached your core. It is not just the absence of a reply. It is the presence of unshakable self-knowledge. Imagine carrying this power into every area of your life. At work, when a colleague tries to undermine you. At home, when a family member speaks out of anger. On the street, when a stranger tries to provoke you. In each situation, you remain centered. You listen, you observe, you feel, but you do not give them the reaction they seek. You keep your dignity, your clarity, and your energy. You walk away stronger, not weaker. Over time, this way of living changes you. You become someone who cannot be manipulated, someone whose mood cannot be stolen, someone who moves through life with quiet authority. The silence that answers an insult is not a passive silence. It is an active choice. It is strength disguised as stillness. It is the force of a mountain that does not move when the wind howls. It is the depth of an ocean that remains calm beneath the waves. When you embody this silence, you no longer need to prove yourself. Your very presence speaks. Your calmness commands respect. Your lack of reaction reveals a power that noise can never match. And so, the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this truth. The strongest reply to an insult is the silence that proves it never reached your core. This silence is not emptiness, it is mastery. It is the sound of a mind that cannot be shaken, of a heart that knows its own worth, of a soul that refuses to be disturbed by the noise of others. Let your silence speak for you. Let it be the shield that protects you, the statement that needs no words, the proof that you are untouchable because you belong completely to yourself. Mastering yourself is the greatest victory, because no enemy can defeat a mind that stays in its own control. To understand the depth of this idea, imagine every challenge you have faced, every insult, every setback, every temptation that tried to pull you away from your path. Each of those moments is an invitation to react without thinking, to surrender your balance to the chaos outside. Most people live in a constant cycle of reaction. Someone criticizes them, and they immediately defend themselves. Someone disrespects them, and they instantly raise their voice. Life throws a problem at them, and they panic before they even take a breath. But the person who has learned to master themselves is different. They still feel anger, fear, sadness, and disappointment, but those emotions no longer decide what comes next. They observe the feeling, they acknowledge it, and then they choose their response with clarity. That is what it means to be undefeatable. The world can try to shake you, but you remain steady, because the battle was won inside long before it reached the outside. To master yourself is to become the keeper of your own mind. Your thoughts, your emotions, your impulses, these are like powerful currents in a river. If left uncontrolled, they will carry you wherever the water flows, sometimes into calm seas, but often into violent storms. Most people let the current decide their direction. They allow moods to dictate their day. They let other people's words control their sense of worth. They let fleeting desires steer their choices. But when you take the time to know yourself, to pause before you act, to breathe before you speak, you begin to guide the current instead of being swept away by it. This is not about becoming emotionless. It is about becoming aware. You still feel the rush of the river, but you hold the oar in your own hands. You decide where to steer. The greatest enemy you will ever face is not outside of you. It is the part of you that seeks comfort over growth, reaction over reflection, pride over peace. An insult from another person cannot truly harm you unless it finds a weakness inside you. A temptation cannot defeat you unless a part of you secretly wants to give in. A challenge cannot break you unless you believe you are not strong enough to endure it. When you master yourself, you begin to see these truths clearly. You understand that the real fight is not with the person who criticizes you, but with the impatience that rises in your own chest. The real struggle is not with the obstacle in your path, but with the fear in your own mind. If you can conquer those inner forces, the outer world loses its power. This mastery is not achieved in a single day. It is a lifelong practice. It begins with small choices, pausing before sending a message you might regret, staying silent when anger tempts you to speak, choosing discipline when distraction calls your name. Each small act of control builds a stronger foundation. Over time, you notice that situations that once triggered you no longer hold the same power. Words that once cut deeply now pass by like wind through the trees. Setbacks that once felt like disasters become lessons that shape your character. Your life does not become easier, but you become stronger. The storms do not disappear, but you learn to stand like a mountain that does not move when the winds howl. When you master yourself, you also discover a new kind of freedom. Most people believe freedom means doing whatever you feel in the moment. But this kind of freedom often leads to chains. Chains of regret, chains of addiction, chains of broken relationships. True freedom comes from discipline. When you control your impulses, you are no longer a prisoner to them. When you control your anger, you are no longer controlled by those who try to provoke you. When you control your desires, you are no longer a slave to things that can be taken away. This is the victory that no enemy can touch. It is a victory that cannot be stolen because it exists entirely within you. This inner victory also transforms how you relate to others. When you master yourself, you stop trying to control people. You no longer need to win every argument or prove every point. You no longer need to make others agree with you or see you in a certain light. You understand that their opinions belong to them, not to you. This detachment brings a quiet confidence. You speak with purpose when needed and remain silent when words would only add noise. You choose actions that align with your values, not with your moods. People may misunderstand you, they may criticize you, they may even try to provoke you, but they cannot shake you. Your calm presence becomes a strength that others feel, even if they cannot explain it. Consider the moments in life when you felt most proud of yourself. They are rarely the times when you shouted the loudest or reacted the fastest. They are the times when you held your tongue, when you stayed patient, when you acted with integrity even though it was difficult. Those moments are victories of self-mastery. They are proof that the greatest power is not the ability to control others, but the ability to control yourself. This is why mastering yourself is the greatest victory. It is not flashy, it does not require applause, and it often goes unnoticed by the outside world. But inside, it builds a strength that nothing can break. Every day offers opportunities to practice this art. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Someone criticizes your work. A plan you relied on suddenly falls apart. Each of these moments is a test. You can let the situation decide your mood, or you can decide it yourself. You can give your power away, or you can keep it. Each choice is a step either toward mastery or toward being mastered. The more steps you take toward mastery, the more natural it becomes. What once required great effort begins to flow with ease. The mind that was once restless becomes steady. The heart that was once easily wounded becomes resilient. You begin to live with a quiet confidence that does not depend on circumstances. Mastering yourself does not mean you never feel pain, frustration, or disappointment. It means you feel everything fully but remain free in the midst of it. It means you acknowledge the storm without letting it carry you away. It means you trust your own strength more than you fear the challenges ahead. This is why no enemy can defeat a mind that stays in its own control. They may shout, but they cannot shake you. They may scheme, but they cannot reach you. They may try to tempt you, but they cannot move you. Your victory is already complete because it was never about them. It was always about you. So when life tests you, when people push your buttons, when challenges seem overwhelming, remember this truth. Mastering yourself is the greatest victory. Every breath you take before reacting is a win. Every moment you choose discipline over impulse is a win. Every time you stay true to yourself in the face of pressure is a win. These wins may be invisible to others, but they build an unshakable fortress inside you. And once that fortress is built, no enemy, no insult, no storm can bring it down.